Hello, everybody. This is Nanette Kennedy, and this is our weekly book discussion group. We are nearing the end of Tomorrow's God, which is kind of ironic because I think now it's Today's God. But anyway, the book is by Neale Donald Walsch, and we're glad to have everybody here. And Linda, what page are we on?
So we're beginning chapter 22, which is on page 327.
Okay. All right, well, Linda does our reading for us. Linda, do you want to go ahead and start?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So this is Tomorrow's God, Our Greatest Spiritual Challenge, chapter 22, God's Way in Relationships. And this is Neale to start with. You know, the picture you paint of our future is really exciting. This is God. Good. It's time for humanity to become excited about life again. And since we're talking about excitement, could we now take a look at sex? This is God. Let's start by looking at relationships. Of course, I was going to begin there. I know you were. I was, really, because I want to know how tomorrow's God will affect this whole important and amazingly intricate area of human experience. Sexuality is just a part of relationships. I want to talk about the whole thing. I can start by telling you that, as in religion, politics, economics, and education, tomorrow's God will turn your understanding of relationships upside down. I thought so. Well, yes, well, you see, everything about the new spirituality is revolutionary. Your entire society will actually be reconstructed from the ground up. In the days of the new spirituality, human relationships will be completely recreated in both purpose and process. So what's the first thing you want to know? How to make them work? Well, that depends on how you define a relationship as working. Well, how about having one last? I think that's a good place to start. You think that a relationship doesn't work if it doesn't last? Oh, it certainly doesn't work very well. Wouldn't that depend on its purpose? Well, what is the purpose of a relationship? You tell me. Oh dear, hang on. I think most people would say that it's to find joy and happiness, completion and fulfillment through the sharing of one's life with another. That is not the purpose of relationship. It isn't? This is God. No, the purpose of relationship is to create joy and happiness, completion and fulfillment through the sharing of life with another. There's a huge difference. In the days of the new spirituality, human relationships will no longer be seen as a means of need fulfillment. Humanity will understand that need is an illusion. And while human beings may choose to dance in that illusion and play with that illusion, such as a magician who enjoys his own tricks, people will ultimately understand that the purpose of life's most holy experience, union with another, is not about fulfilling needs. Who said anything about fulfilling needs? I was talking about finding joy. If you're finding something, you do not have it. And if you do not have it, you will imagine that you need it. Oh, you can only create something out of something you have. Well, now that's an interesting thing to say. I've only just begun. If you think that the purpose of a relationship is to find something, then you will be continually looking for it. You won't experience that it's inside of you because you won't be trying to find it if it were inside of you. So you will be looking for it outside you, namely in the person you call your beloved. If, on the other hand, You think that the purpose of a relationship is to create something. Then you will be bringing to the relationship what it is that you wish to experience there. You will see yourself as the source of what you choose to create, because the creator of anything is source. What a fascinating perspective. It's really just common sense. The idea that you say most of humanity holds, however, is not common sense. In fact, that idea brings more relationships to an end than any other single thought. Most people are looking for something outside of themselves to make them happy, and that includes, perhaps especially, the experience of relationship. We're talking in particular here about romantic relationships. Yes, but you will find that every word spoken here can apply to all other kinds of relationship as well. Good, okay. The new spirituality will teach that without relationship with somebody or something else, you cannot experience yourself in any meaningful way. In the days of the new spirituality, all relationships will be seen as holy. This is what I meant earlier when I said that you are interdependent, in the sense that no one can exist alone. No man is an island. But you are not dependent in the sense that you need a particular other. All relationships are holy, and each can produce the experience for which relationship was intended. The idea that you need a particular other in order to produce what relationships were intended to produce leads to extraordinary dysfunction in relationship, because it creates the illusion that one person is dependent upon a specific and particular other person in order to be happy by experiencing who you really are, which is the inner goal of every soul. Now, if you want to continue to explore this whole business of relationship, we're going to have to get into some things that may feel a little far afield. The discussion here could become a bit esoteric, but it will make sense with regard to human relationships if you stick with me. You want to take this ride? Sure, let's go. Okay. The only way that you can know who you are, not just conceptually, but experientially, is by knowing who you are not. The universe has been given to you so that you might experience that. I have said to you before, in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. This is a statement of profound truth regarding the realm of the relative, the world in which you live. This is Neil. You're saying that in the absence of cold, hot is not? Or that in the absence of big, small is not? Or in the absence of bad, good is not? Exactly. You can't have one without the other in the realm of the relative. This is not true in the realm of the absolute, where all that is all that is. In the realm of the absolute, nothing exists in relationship to anything else, for the simple reason that there isn't anything else. This is also true in the realm of the relative, where there is only one thing, and that one thing is all there is. Yet this one thing has manifested itself in countless ways. Sometimes this way, sometimes that way, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes here, sometimes there. You understand? Yes, but why? We're getting there. What God chooses to do is to know itself in its own experience. This is God's holy purpose, to know itself wholly. God can know itself conceptually easily enough. God merely has to think about itself. Yet for God to experience itself, God has to encounter something that God is not. Only through such an encounter can God experience what God is. The condition, however, that is there is nothing that God is not. And I will repeat, in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. God found a solution in this situation, however. God reasons that since nothing other than God existed, God would have to create something that appeared to be other than God out of itself. God did this by dividing itself into a billion or more, actually many more, smaller parts. Each of those parts would be something other than the totality of God. In this way, any individual part could know totality, and the totality could know each individual part, and God could experience who and what God is. The scheme was ingenious. The idea was brilliant, as befitting God. And so the realm of the relative was created, and along with it, relative experience. Now, all of the parts of God can experience themselves as who and what they are in relationship to who and what everything else is, and thus know both the individuality and the totality of God, the magnificence and the wonder and the glory of it all, and of all that comprises all in its various parts. This is, of course, very simple, basic explanation of things, but is it clear? Hang on a second. Sort of. What is unclear? Does this mean for me to experience something good? Something bad has to exist in my experience? Well, first of all, good and bad are value judgments having to do with many, many other decisions that you have made about yourself and about life. I know, and I don't want to get into that level of intricacy here. Can we just address the question head on? All right. The answer is yes. Something that is bad, according to your terms, has to exist in your experience in order for you to experience something that you call good. Well, that explains a lot. Now I understand why life is so often a pile of, but here is what you would call the good news. The bad that has to exist in your experience does not have to exist in your immediate experience. Well, what does that mean? It means that the so-called other side or opposite of what you wish to experience may exist either in your past or in some location far away from you, such as the most distant location in your universe. It merely has to be something of which you are aware. It has to be part of your consciousness. Your universe is nothing more than a contextual field. It is a holder or a container into which has been poured every experience it is possible to have. Or, to put it another way, the totality of that which is. In other words, God. Call it what you wish. Now you can reach into this contextual field of memory and distance, what you have called time and space, and find the opposite of any experience you presently choose to have. You do not have to draw that opposite to you. You need only know that it exists. Thus, it is said that knowledge is power. So in order for me to experience having a good time, all I have to do is remember the bad times? Precisely. Or in order For me to experience how good life is over here, all I have to do is observe how bad it is over there. Remembering that good and bad are your particular judgments, of course. They are, oh, of course. They are simply your point of view. From another perspective, what is bad might be called good. So life is just a matter of perspective. You've said something very important there. Our experience depends on how we see things. That is correct. And how you see things depends on how you choose to see them. I don't get that. We see things as they are. No, you give everything its meaning. Always remember that. In the days of the new spirituality, all people will understand that nothing has any meaning save the meaning they give it. Okay, so what does this have to do with relationship? Everything. All of the meaning in your relationships is meaning you have put there. Nothing means anything at all except what you say it does. That includes all the things that have been done to you and by you. You can give these things any meaning you want, but be careful, because the meaning you give them is the meaning they will have for you. Then you will act on this, believing it to be real.
What time it is? 2:30, I think.
And you're not muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
If you wish to remain clear, it is going to be important for you to remember that you have made it all up. You can take things that have happened in your life and laugh at them off and say it's nothing. It's not worth losing my peace over. It's of no injury to me. I am not that. Or you can say, I'm deeply hurt, I'm deeply damaged, I'm badly damaged. This is horrible, I can't stand it. Either way, what you say will be what you experience. This is Neil. Yes, well, I try saying the first, but the second seems to win out a lot. I mean, let's be real here. Some things hurt a lot. Help me out. Hang on a second. The feeling of being hurt is simply an act of forgetfulness. You have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten who the other is. And you have forgotten what you are both doing here. You have melted into the Maya. You have become the illusion. You are living the story you have created as a playwright who has fallen asleep and is dreaming that he is living his own script. You can play out the script to the bitter end, sad end if you wish, but you already know the ending, so what's the point? No, I don't know the ending. What is the ending? The ending is always the same. You will one day awaken in this lifetime or the next, and you will then understand who you really are and who everyone else is. And you will forgive everyone, everything, and you will go past forgiveness to the place where you are clear that forgiveness is not necessary. You will see the perfection in the whole process, how it all worked out wonderfully to produce your own evolution. And you will thank all the players in your script, and you will dance together and be merry. For God's love will embrace the lot of you, and you will embrace each other as well in your love for God, which is life itself. You are certain about this. There has never been anything more certain said or revealed. In the days of the new spirituality, all people will understand the purpose of relationship and the process of life, as well as their role in it. And they will bless the process and call it holy. They will engage the process and call it adventure. They will experience the process and call it joy. and they will complete the process and call it nirvana. Then to happily begin the process all over again at the time of their choosing in the never-ending cycle of bliss that is creation itself. This is the story of consciousness unfolding. This is the story of humanity evolving. This is the story of you being. Your relationships are a part of this story. In the past, you've gone into relationships for reasons very close to what you articulated a few moments ago. You were seeking happiness, you were hoping to find fulfillment and joy and completion through the sharing of your life with another. I simply wanted to end loneliness. Same thing, fewer words. So what's so bad about that? Nothing is bad about it, but there's a page in the story that you have come here now to see. You can never end the loneliness in your life until you end the loneliness within your life. Again, once more, please. If you feel alone within, if you feel incomplete within yourself, you will search outside yourself for the rest of your life to find that which cannot be found. And after experiencing this over and over, you could wind up with a series of relationships that do not last. Have you been reading my diary? The relationships don't last because you do not understand what you are doing there. You are trying to find fulfillment rather than create fulfillment. You are trying to find joy rather than to create joy. You are trying to find completion rather than create completion. You believe that relationship is a process of discovery, and it is not. It is a process of creation. The same thing can be said about life. But I have tried to create joy, happiness, and completion in relationship, and sometimes the other person has still left. So what is true about that? Did you take the joy, happiness, and completion out of your life? Of course. Or did that take the joy, happiness, and completion out of your life? Of course. Well, then you didn't have it there to begin with. Nobody can take with them what is in you. Remember that. Always remember that. So then I don't need a relationship to create joy and happiness and completion. It's all within. You use a relationship to experience it. Like God, you create relationships in order to experience who you are within. Then I do need a relationship. You're confusing me here. You do not need a relationship outside of yourself. It is beneficial to have a relationship with me inside of yourself. In the days of the new spirituality, it will be clear that all relationships begin and end and are created with and within the human soul. Once you have a relationship with me, with life, with God, with all that is inside of yourself, the relationships that you have with everything and everyone outside of yourself will be an experience of joy and happiness and completion because you have put it there. You then live it in all the moments of your life. Yet, you do not have what you do not have within. You cannot live without. Clever. But if I can't live without it, yet I do not have it within, how do I get it there? Not from the other person in your relationship, I can tell you that. Put that burden on your beloved, and they will never be able to carry it. They will run from you as fast as they can. They will see that there is a hole within you that they cannot possibly fill, even if they tried. The purpose of relationship is not to find completion, but to share your completion. Not to find your joy, but to share your joy. Not to find happiness, but to share your happiness. If you are not happy going into a relationship, you will have no happiness to put there. And in human relationships, I will say again, you only find what you put there. This is true of all of life. So relationships exist in a contextual field as a holder or container into which you can pour all that you are. You can then reach into that and pull out whatever aspect or aspects of you. Yet you cannot pull out of that container anything you have not put in. You will be making the biggest mistake of your life if you are waiting for someone else to supply it for you. In short, a relationship is about giving, not about receiving. It is about both, but what you receive in relationship, you receive from yourself. Your illusion is that you receive it from another. And so what you receive is only what you give. That is the secret. If you think you are going to receive what you have not been willing or able to give, you will be sadly disappointed and will sadly disappoint another. But how can I give what I am not able to give? You are able to give anything that you wish to receive. There is nothing that you want out of a relationship that you cannot give to a relationship. You may think you cannot give it. You may have convinced yourself that you cannot give it, but that is not the truth about you. Consider the possibility that you can remember how to be greater than you are. That is the purpose of all relationships and of all life. I have said the purpose of life is to recreate yourself anew in the next grandest version of the greatest vision you ever held about who you are. You must have total freedom. God gives you that. God may, but others may not. In truth, freedom is not something that God gives you. I used a figure of speech. Freedom is what you are. God is that, and you are that. That is the essence. Whenever your freedom is trampled on even just a bit, you feel rankled and diminished. It is not something exterior to yourself that has been of your being. The words love and God are interchangeable, and the words freedom and God are interchangeable. Therefore, the words love and freedom are interchangeable. They describe one and the same experience. In the days of the new spirituality, love and freedom will be understood to be the same thing. This has important implications within the context of marriage currently understood and experienced by most of the human race. Well, you can say that again. I've heard this from you before, and it has done nothing but get me into trouble. Why? Because most people don't accept that when you love someone, love grants total freedom to the beloved. Hold it. This is God. Let's stop right here. What do you mean total freedom? Freedom is not something that can be partial. It is like pregnancy. You cannot be a little pregnant. You cannot be a little free. You are either free or you are not. Free to do anything. Either you are free or you are not. But even you have not given us that kind of freedom. Oh, but I have. Yes, but you punish us if we use it. No, I do not. Well, spouses do. Do human beings believe this? Believe it, they experience it. then human beings are not experiencing freedom in their relationships. Not many. They all are. This is Neil. I don't think so. Not when they get punished by someone leaving them or making life miserable for them. Not when they receive this punishment because they enjoy golf or are caught up in their work and don't pay enough attention, or God forbid, experience a moment of love expressed sexually with someone else. This is God. In the days of the new spirituality, humans will understand that they always have total freedom in relationships, that no one can ever take that away from you, away from them because of who it is they are, and that every attempt to blame someone else for curtailing one's freedom is simply an act of forgetfulness. Relationships are based on total freedom. That is how they work. This is Neil. So when a husband tells a wife he's going to be leaving if she doesn't pay him enough attention, that's freedom? The wife is supposed to feel free to be herself in the relationship? Of course. If the husband told her that he wants a certain amount of attention in the relationship or he's leaving, and the wife does not give him that amount of attention, she's made a free choice. But she gets punished for that choice. All choices have outcomes, yet outcomes are not punishments, they are results. Both partners in a relationship have the freedom to state their preferences. These announcements are statements of who you are. Your partner does not have to agree with who you are. Your partner merely has to notice it. If who you are is a person who does not choose to live in a smoke-filled environment, for example, you have the freedom to announce that. Your spouse then has the freedom to smoke or not smoke in the home. You then have the freedom to remain in the home or leave. Neither party need take offense at the free will choices of the other or allow themselves to be hurt by them. To say that you have been deeply hurt by the free will choice of another is to deny who both of you and the other really are. It is an act of forgetfulness. Relationship is the perfect expression of freedom. Where the unhappiness and the misery comes in is when the co-creators of the relationship forget this and choose to cast themselves in the role of victim. So if you declare that love is freedom, then you must be saying that all people in relationships should be able to freely express love with any person they wish in any way that feels appropriate to them without limitation or punishment. Is that how you see marriage? No. That may be how some people see marriage, but that is not how I see marriage. Well, then how do you see marriage? I see marriage the way I see life, which is in no way in particular. Life just is. And so too with marriage. It is what it is, and it is not what it is not. Who decides what it is? Everyone says God decides. God does not decide. On what basis would God make such decisions? God leaves it to you to decide. Marriage is what two people say it is. But society has to set some rules. Why? To protect people. From who? From themselves? To protect others. Who? Society itself. To protect society. To keep society from falling apart. You think society would fall apart if it had fewer rules? No, not really. The truth is, I think it would probably fall together for the first time, the way it really is, rather than the way people want others to believe it is. As I observe humanity, I would say that in the best case scenario, all relationships between people, including marriage, are experienced as a constant ebb and flow, a continuing and ever-changing process in which there are no rules or restrictions, in which the only agreement is to tell the truth right here, right now, and in which preferences are openly announced and decisions and choices openly made and outcomes openly embraced as the natural consequence of the ebb and flow of itself. Now, I'm thinking we should stop because I can't finish this chapter. What does everybody else think?
Let's stop.
I agree.
I agree. I couldn't get off mute. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get off. I'm trying to. Yeah, I agree. Who would like to start observations,
Yeah,
conversations?
There was a lot to take in what you just read. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm on it. Okay.
One of the things that I strongly agree with is the, and I can't word it verbatim, but you can't get happiness from somebody unless you're happy with them. Same with, you can't give.
You said with them. Did you mean with yourself or did you mean with them?
Well, what I don't remember what I said, but what I wanted to say was that the happiness comes from within,
Okay.
and if you don't have it within, you're not getting it from somebody else. Ideally, you're getting it from yourself. Over.
I think you probably said within and it sounded like with them. I think that's what happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
I always say happiness is an inside job, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but there's something that I've noticed, which is being isolated, that I'm pretty much, I'm happy inside, and in my relationship, I feel a lot of happiness that comes from in the relationship. But I notice that when I'm isolated and stuff, I don't feel that happiness all the time, or I'm just saying, the happiness is there. But I guess what I'm saying is, what I notice is that sometimes the happiness is created because it's within me, but it's sparked and it's amplified, or it comes up because of what someone else does. Do you understand what I mean by that? Not that they make me happy, but the act of being with someone brings out that happiness that's already in. So in relationships, it's like it is the other that brings the happiness out in me. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, I don't know how to explain it elsewise. I'm not saying that they're making the happiness is in me, but they are bringing it out, where when I'm isolated or I'm alone or something like that, that spark isn't there. It isn't brought forth. Over.
And I would say that it's you yourself that's you create the happiness. So the fact that your partner is not there, it's not your partner that's creating the happiness, it's yourself. You're not bringing it out within yourself because you're deciding that your partner's not there, so you can't be happy.
Well, no. I'm not saying it has anything to do with my partner, but I am saying that sparks it. That it's not the person that's making me happy, but it's the happiness in me that bubbles up. It gets triggered, whatever. Okay. I'm just saying, when I'm isolated and alone, I don't feel those feelings that I feel when I'm in a relationship and I don't know how else to say it. Over.
I think it might be useful to
Well,
look at the distinction again between happiness and joy. And happiness is triggered by external events, and joy is our inner state of joy. So I feel joy all the time when I'm alone, and different things might make me happy in a moment. But like the inner joy is sort of mine to look there, turn on the tap, and let it bubble up. Over.
I do notice that in periods that there are moments where I feel so much joy. I don't know where it's coming from or whatever, but you know that I'm overwhelmed with the amount of joy that comes up periodically. Just like periodically I feel sadness, but I mean in this case, I've hit levels with the light that's coming in the last year or something of blissful joy that I've never felt before in my life, and that's anyway. It's over.
I just want to remind everybody of that phrase that I use quite often, and I don't know who I got it from. I might have even gotten it from Neil, but there isn't anything out there, right? That's really what we're talking about here, is that everything in our experience is a result of how we choose to respond to it. So there is no, we're not victims, and there's no one to blame. It's always our choice. And that's what he says, God says in this chapter, you've forgotten. You've just forgotten. It's not that you're bad or that we're doing anything wrong. It's simply that people have just forgotten. We don't know how this is working. And I also just want to give voice to how timely this chapter is.
Agreed.
I just want to say that I completely agree with that chapter. It's so true, because it is not possible to make that the relationship will make you happy. That's the same I can feel with my kids. They don't make me happy, but our connection, if I am connected to myself, make us happy together. So, but this is a challenge for most people in today's society, because we are not educated in going inside. In our Western society, it's going outside. So I love this chapter. It was wonderful. Over. Thank you.
I also wanted to say I liked how it emphasized that it's not just about romantic relationships, it's like about all relationships. Because I recently moved into this granny flat at my best friend's house, because rents are too high where I live and I can't afford it anymore. And she's just renting it to me stupid cheap because we've been friends since we were 12. And I love living with her down there. We have our separate houses. Well, I have my apartment and she works second shift. So we don't see each other much during the week, but on the weekend, just having, and even with social distancing, we like have a conversation from, the landing to my door, or sitting 6 feet apart in the backyard or whatever. And just that feeling of having another person who's sort of here. And I know she appreciates it too. It makes a difference in terms of human connection, especially at this time when we're not that connected in, space, while we might be connecting virtually and stuff. So I appreciated that aspect of the chapter as well. Over.
Mary, I
think
would say
that's
that,
what I was saying.
I was just going to say that's wonderful that you have that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that was the aspect that I was trying to describe and didn't do very well at, which is it's the connection that I was addressing. So,
Yeah.
like when you come together on weekends, that connection that you have with that other person brings stuff up. It brings it out of you. But the happiness is already there, else it wouldn't be brought up, it wouldn't come out. Over.
Well, have we just figured out a book yet, or should I just email everybody?
Do you have my email,
Who's talking?
Pam? Dan Lord?
I don't know if I do or not. Put it in the message chat window because I can.
I don't have a chat window.
Oh. Well.
I'll
We have
type
text. I'll text it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Shabana, would you like to do the meditation?
Yes, I would. Lord God, you are love and life and freedom. And somehow, in the oneness, we're thanking you for helping us to be kind and generous to ourselves so that we're loving and happy to ourselves and can spread it, because this is the time when it's most needed. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all. Well, next week is Easter.
This is Palm Sunday.
I know next week is Easter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Should we meet or not meet?
I will be here.
I think we should meet because nobody can do anything anyway.
Oh, duh.
I was just thinking, boy, is that going to change? Is this going to change Easter dinner? You know?
Yeah.
Or like Passover Seder, having to sit 6 feet apart from each other.
Only
Very
two at a
interesting.
table. Only two at a table.
Only two at a table. Is that what they're saying?
Yep, that's Nanette saying that.
Oh, okay.
And that, the last I heard, Donald Trump said we're all going to be in church at Easter.
Ugh, don't get me started.
Oh, he dialed that back.
Not in California.
What did he say? What did he say? We should all go to church?
We should all be sitting in the churches and
Well, that was
synagogues.
weeks ago. He was saying
Yeah.
it's going to be over by Easter. Now would be lucky if it's over by Memorial Day.
because people aren't doing what they're supposed to do and staying home, you know, and some states, they're still just acting like everything is normal. It's, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sad to say that my daughter's boyfriend has it and he's been out running errands. So,
Has he been wearing a mask with his running errands, or he's just
oh, I'm in the nursing home and I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Because, well, we have to. It's not a
Yeah.
want to, but I would even if I didn't have to.
No, I mean, but him running around running errands, he's probably
Well, you know, and he's 42. It's not like he's a youngster. So I'm not sure what possessed him to think. You know, he's can get my daughter sick and my granddaughter and
Yeah.
But
So they all have it?
well, I need to call my daughter today because I just found this out yesterday, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Just before we end, I want to reiterate what Linda's just written in the chat. I've lost my glasses. I don't know where they are, so I can't see where. But tomorrow at whatever time, she's having a Zoom call, which is very powerful.
Who's he?
So if, pardon? Linda. Yeah, so if Anne and Bima and Mary, and Mary's there, and Nanette, if you can join, that would be lovely.
It was great last week.
Okay.
How would we do that? Can you send the information or something, or how would I get that information? Can I just give you my phone number and then you can text? Would that work the simplest way?
I'm not in the U.S.
So that wouldn't work.
I
Okay.
wrote down on the chat. Can I say something?
Yeah, but I don't have.
Oh, sorry.
Please go ahead, Anne.
I was going to say I wrote down the Zoom number on the chat. That was on the chat. It's 992 496.
Wait, write it down. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, start again.
992
992 496 758.
Okay, and it's only you can't call in. You can only go on Zoom.
You can go on Zoom. Oh, I didn't write the other thing in. Then it had a password, which I wrote down as 13725. But I wonder if I wrote that.
That's right.
How do you call into this meeting, Anne? You would call in the same way, I think, except
Yeah,
for
the same way as this one. Yeah.
Or do they give you different phone numbers?
And the password again is?
I wrote down 13725.
That's what I have.
I wonder if that's right.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it
Is
too,
that right?
and that's right.
And it's at noon Eastern time.
Okay.
Noon Eastern. You know, I want something to say. Can I say something?
Sure.
Eastern. My worry about this chapter, which I couldn't follow very well, I don't know, I think I'm suffering from being isolated. I can't seem to, I can't even conceive of relationship or anything. But what worries me, it says here, all choices have outcomes. All choices have outcomes. These are the results. So, if you know what I mean, you marry someone or something, it's a choice you made, but we're all a bit blind. We're not conscious enough. I think it's the consciousness that we need in order to make good choices. I suppose that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think bad choices are good choices because then you learn.
I agree.
I would say if you look.
Does that make sense, Anne?
It makes sense if you feel you've got the capability to withstand the storm, I suppose.
Well, the thing is that, you know, what choice do you have? If you've messed up, you've messed up.
This is what I think. I think that we fall in and out of love all the time. And we have to just keep connecting to the love. And so what happens is, because if it's all about you and with you, then what's happening is if you get upset or whatever, or reactive, it's like you fell out of love. It's kind of like you're either facing God or turning away from God. You either see God or you have your back to God. So you just have to keep turning back to the love or turning back to God and just recreating that over and over again. I don't think you just get there and it stays. I think you go in and out. That's my feeling.
Okay, let's call it a wrap and we'll see you next Sunday.
Yes, stay well.
Same bat channel, same bat time. All right, love you
Okay.
all.
Love you. Thanks, Annette.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Anne.